Hello, I'm in rural Ohio, standing here at the coiled tail of the end of the Great Serpent Mound. The Great Serpent Mound is the world's largest effigy mound. Now, if you don't know what an effigy is, look it up, because this isn't an educational program. I'm just taking you to some sites that I think are cool. So let's go take a look.
Well, we're rising above the head of the Serpent Mound now. There's its open mouth, and you can see it's devouring something, maybe an egg or the sun or the earth, I don't know. But I hear a lot of people saying after looking at stuff like this, big deal, is just a pile of dirt. And I say to them, well, you try erecting a 4-foot-tall, 1,300-foot-long effigy mound out of dirt, and let's see how you do. And on top of that, do it with nothing but woven baskets and Stone Age tools. And beyond that, have your mound align itself perfectly to true north and make its curves point perfectly to sunrises and sunsets and lunar rises and lunar sets of the solstices and equinox, because that is exactly what's going on here. This place was obviously mad style important, so important that it was used by many people over thousands of years. Radiocarbon dating of various sections have pegged it as being anywhere from 2,000 to 500 years old, and that means one could safely assume that many peoples used, maintained, and renovated this site over the passage of time, just like how we've seen that the Egyptians renovated and maintained the Sphinx. The Serpent Mound could be as much as 3,000 years old, so why don't you go make something out of dirt that'll last so long if it's so easy? These people who built and used this thing were just as significant a culture as any of the other monumental builders of ancient times, and they sadly represent a forgotten and suppressed piece of North American history.
Now, one of the more fascinating elements of this area is that this mound site was built on the site of an asteroidal impact from nearly 300 million years ago. It speaks volumes to the amount of astrological knowledge these people had and the significance it had to them. If I spent half as much time gazing at the stars as I do as my stupid cell phone, maybe I'd come close to achieving what these people have.
The Serpent Mound is probably a calendar. The head of the serpent is aligned to the setting sun on the summer solstice, its curves align to the summer solstice sunrise, the equinox sunrise, and the winter solstice sunrise. Summer solstice sunrise, that's a lot of S sounds, kind of like the S of a snake. The coil of the tail aligns to true north. Coils and spirals are very important to all native cultures, and native-made spirals can be seen everywhere in this country, especially in the form of petroglyphs. Some that I've been able to visit, like the ones in Chaco Canyon in New Mexico, seem to be a kind of calendar that tracks the changing of the seasons. The frequency of which spirals appear definitely suggests that any site bearing this mark had significance of some kind to the people passing by. And why do we know the Serpent Mound was significant? Well, aside from how fucking gigantic it is, it's because there is evidence of multiple cultures using the site over thousands of years. In addition to the Serpent Mound itself, present on site are 3 Adena culture burial mounds, Hopewell mounds, and 1 Fort Ancient culture burial mound. That's almost 1,000 years of mounds. The Adena are the grandpappies who predate all the other mound-building cultures. They were around from about 1000 BC to 100 AD, and they are the ones who started all the mound-building traditions in these Midwestern cultures, though there is evidence of other mound-building peoples in the Americas dating back as far as 4000 BC. There is as of yet no connection of them to the Adena. And the Hopewell are considered to be the zenith culture of the traditions started by them. The Adena were hunter-gatherers who traveled extensively. They were the first pottery makers in Midwestern North America, and they made amazing and perplexing stone tablets which could have perhaps been stamps or seals. The Adena definitely used the site where the Serpent Mound sits for their own ceremonies. Whether or not they were the ones who built the mound is up for debate. Radiocarbon dating of some segments of the mound peg it back to 800 BC, a firm Adena date, while some other sections date to 1100 AD, a Fort Ancient culture date. This means it was probably modified over time or built over time. It could very well have been a collaborative effort over centuries by many peoples. Amazing proof of modifications to the Serpent Mound was discovered by Jared Burks of Ohio Valley Archaeology, who used his famous magnetometers to detect now vanished curves of the Serpent Mound, which had been erased and smoothed over around 1000 AD by the Fort Ancient Peoples. For a hunter-gatherer society to build this thing with only prehistoric tools is one thing, and for another culture from hundreds of years after to modify it, again with prehistoric tools, and still keep to its precise astronomical alignments is a whole nother thing. This place was important. And all we can really say with certainty is that the Serpent Mound was a massive earthen calendar, and that it was used and maintained by multiple civilizations over thousands of years, and altered whenever it was seen fit to do so, or when societal or cultural need arose. It is a baffling and gigantic monument to a thriving and mysterious peoples who are entirely unknown to us, the civilization now walking atop their graves and living off the land that they tamed.